Hello everyone and welcome to Sunburned. Albino ranks every boss in the First Berserker Khazan from easiest to hardest, played on normal mode, which in this game is the hardest mode, done without summoning any spirits, and all footage is taken from me having streamed the entire game over the course of 43 hours, so you can check those streams out too if you feel like it. About 2/3 of my way through the game, the devs dropped a patch that nerfed a couple bosses and buffed like 8 others, so your current experience may differ, and your weapon choice probably factors in as well since the playstyles are so different. Starting from easiest and working our way to hardest. Number easiest, Revenant of Adversity. The easiest boss in the First Berserker Khazan is the Revenant of Adversity, which functions like an NPC and copies your weapon's moveset. And since you know your own weapon's moveset, you should have no issue perfect blocking or dodging most of the stuff that happens. It's probably good that this game doesn't have real PvP because there's no system in place for getting through someone who just guards everything, and the NPC likes to drop its guard for no reason and just let you hit it. This is one of the only bosses in the game with an HP bar small enough to make you feel like you're actually doing damage, so that's pretty cool when everyone else is tanky as all hell. Number 38, Failed Creation. A lot of the bigger enemies have a side mission where they're the boss, so by the time you get here you'll have fought multiple of these things already, but they decided to plop him into a plague pool and give him some zombie mobs to make it extra spicy. You can start by tossing some javelins at his head from the safety of the not the plague pool, but if you have any plague resist stuff on, you can run around in there for a good while before retreating back to shore. This is a relevant time to tell you about the most busted 2-piece set bonus this game has, which is the Chaos-Ridden armor you get from Malika, I believe. If you perfect block, or brink guard as this game calls it, you get health regen forever until the next time you take damage, and it can stack up to 5 times. This is specifically amazing for exploring through missions. Why waste a heal when you can just find an archer or a shitty enemy to farm heals off of? And you can also make use of this in boss fights if you learn to perfect block certain strings flawlessly to save heals for when you really need them. In this case, you can usually back off and just perfect block the Failed Creation's failed fireballs until you're satisfied. It'll do a little burn buildup, but not enough to matter. He does this attack if you're behind him, where he spins around and falls over and starts leaking fire like someone knocked over a hose, and if you're standing in just the right spot, it'll kill you. But otherwise, it's the best way to get damage on him while he tries to untip himself. Number 37, Gilson. Gilson is one of those dagger-wielding bandit goons they decided to make into a boss extremely late in the game without adjusting his HP or giving him any proper means of defending himself. Dude spends half the fight sizing you up, like walking back and forth, forgetting he staggers to everything. That's the kind of behavior you can pull off if you have hyper armor or an inclination to ever dodge a single attack, but Gilson is just aura farming while you're farming his blood. This is for Andel, you rapscallion. You guys remember Andel? Me either. Even his wife's like, who? Number 36, Barius. Wow, that's such a clever name for a bear. Holy shit. Barius just does a couple hits here and there with the timings a little delayed, so don't jump the gun instinctively. Quick tip for brutal attacks. When you deplete the enemy's stamina and get them in that staggered state, you'll see a red circle on the enemy that gradually unwinds like a clock. During that time, you can hit the enemy with anything, and it won't knock them out of that state. It's important not to brutal attack immediately, and instead get some other hits in until the circle's right about to run out, and then initiate it. Plus, most bosses will enter a stamina regaining animation afterwards, so even after the brutal attack, you can get some more hits in. This is especially necessary with the spear because you need to chain hella combos to do any damage with it. Number 35, Double Laser Tail. Some of these are more like encounters than bosses. These enemies don't have a health bar at the top, but they exist behind a fog wall as the final thing of a side mission, so it counts. Ideally, you want to get these two separated by kiting them around the flower beds, or you can group them up and activate the Phantom form to knock down their stamina bars. They have stilted attacks with janky telegraphs, but they don't really combo, so you have time to heal when you need to. Number 34, Laser Tail and Failed Creation. Laser Tail starts the fight off trying to break his friend out of liquid stasis, and if you're quick, you can stop him or accidentally help him. Laser Tail should get dealt with first since you're beating its ass anyway. Most duo fights, I say go nuts with the Phantom form. 2v1 is unfair to begin with, and this can be a mild equalizer. Solo bosses, I don't really use it unless I need to because it's not that good to begin with. I fully upgraded the damage by the end of the game, and it still wasn't doing it for me. Number 33, Shield Guy and Mage. Don't worry, we're getting all the boring fights out of the way early. Unfortunately, you don't have Phantom form yet for this, so you can either run away from the Shield Knight and do drive-bys on the Mage, or get the Shield Knight as far away as possible to fight him instead. But there's no cover in this arena, so the Mage will still be slinging spells at you. Of all the things this game takes from Nioh, one thing I'm glad it didn't is its double bosses. Imagine if you had to fight Malika and Elamane at the same time, or Ozma and Reese. At least Khazan only pairs up the pushovers. Number 32, Yetuga. The first real boss of the list and of the game, Yetuga will test your Khazaning ability to see if you're ready to go from one tutorial area to the next. Enjoy the damage you're doing, it won't last. Yetuga has easy combos to perfect block, and they're slow enough to get some hits in the middle of. Just watch out for his ultimate attack of running full speed across the arena into a wall. No one made him do that. He had like 8 steps to slow down, but he was determined. The only thing you really have to watch out for is a grab what sound effect likes to play at different timings during the animation each time to fuck up your dodge. I honestly learned not to rely on the sound for any grabs this game throws at you. They feel inconsistent to listen for, and sometimes you're already making too much noise with your own attacks. If Yetuga starts heaving a giant boulder at you, you can just block it for minimal damage. Sometimes that's safer than going for a brink guard or dodge if you're not 100% dialed into the timing. Otherwise, you'll want to duck under his breath attack when it starts and get behind him because he goes all in on the follow-up even if you're nowhere near it, and you have lots of time to cleave the back of his thighs. Good first boss, gets the point across. Number 31, Yetarak. This is basically a regional variant of Yetuga that had its type changed to rock, but can still breathe ice when it feels like it. My biggest gripe with bosses like this is that they have attacks that aren't attacks. This dude just kind of shuffles around pounding the ground occasionally like a monkey, and it just doesn't register to me that that is an attack that should do damage. He's just readjusting. It's like if he scratched his balls and it somehow did damage to me. He has 2 attacks like this, while the other one is him scraping the ground for no reason as like a fidget. He's fucking fidgeting and it hurts me. It's dumb. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same thing as Yetuga. This one just has a couple extra swings in his combo and a spirit attack that you can easily spirit counter. Even though I'm doing next to no damage, Yetarak is still pretty easy, which is my segue into the PSA of re-roll attributes on your gear. Imagine that in all caps. There is a big difference between dodging costs 2.7% less stamina and 46 extra attack, or a 5% damage multiplier. Your gear attributes are holding you back. Reroll them after you unlock the ability to. You want as much offensive shit as you can put on there, and it will get very expensive, but it's the only way to do semi-real damage to anybody, coming from someone who picked the spear and had 63 proficiency by endgame and still didn't feel that strong. Gear matters, and set bonuses matter too. Number 30, Mutated Xylence. It's crazy that Xylence is this little tiny dragonkin baby raised by humans who's never even held a weapon, and then Khazan gives him a stone that points the way to the people who killed his family like he's gonna do anything to them. It's like giving a waypoint to a coughing baby, like, here you go, this'll show you the way to the hydrogen bombs who destroyed your village. Unfortunately, he gets brainwashed of that thing, and now you're fighting the second phase of Viper, but with this tough extra armor that makes him take almost no damage until you break it. But when you do break it, it does half its health, and then it's not an issue. Number 29, Aratra. Break a leg, dude. Aratra does venom buildup, which is a much deadlier version of Plague. Every tick is like 20% of your HP evaporated, and you're dead before you know it. Obviously, bring venom resistance elixirs and venom cleanse if you got it, especially because perfect blocking still causes a little bit of buildup, and you'll need that to not sink you. Both of Aratra's forelegs can be completely broken off, which turns it into something you'd see on an arachnophobia mode, just a legless blob trying to bite you with the only appendages it's got left. The bewildering part is that if you break both legs but don't kill it fast enough, it will crawl up the wall and just piece out of the arena, and then respawn on the other side with both legs regrown like a gecko. It doesn't regain health, thankfully, but that's still kind of bullshit. He turned back into a real spider again, and now my phobia has reactivated. This is one of the only main mission bosses that felt like a true medium difficulty, where I was thankful to not have struggled for half an hour on it. So of course the new patch notes drop and they buffed this bitch. Every boss that I actually liked fighting, they buffed. If Sunburned Albino didn't want to rip his hair out during the fight, they buffed it, and now I have bald spots. Number 28, Sergey & Co. We start with a hearty appetizer of fat-ass tank man paired with a lighter side of fireball spam. You can kite them around the tree, and the fat dude is very polite. The mage is in front blocking him, walking hella slow, and he's like, no, it's okay, take your time, I'm in no rush. Kill the mage first if you can. I find the tank a lot easier to go mano-y-mano with. As I said, they are both appetizers, though, as the main course is served afterwards with a shield guy with a boss health bar, so it's basically the shield guy in mage fight, but they added an extra dude and shuffled the batting order. The nice thing about fighting people who have shields is that they get to randomly decide when your attacks don't work anymore. Even if you're doing potent blows, you can't be sure of when the enemy might just instantly decide to launch into a combo of theirs while you're mid-swing trying to break his defenses. So don't get too mashy. Number 27, Blade Phantom. Before you and your spirit pal became spirit pals, you fought him to prevent him from taking over your body, and it's a pretty cool fight. This dude's got kicks like Hitmon Lee and the ability to change his weapon to alter the timing of his combos, but they're pretty consistent within each combo. His hammer strikes come with a crystal AoE that you'll want to make sure you perfect block or perfect dodge, and feel free to test this theory I have, but I don't think non-perfect dodging has invincibility frames if you're holding the block button at the same time. So let go of that if you're trying to get around something. Number 26, Keshta the Unyielding. This is the boss you fight right after the Blade Phantom if you undergo that side mission, and it's basically the exact same thing, so do it again. Number 25, Zaldin. I could have sworn this dude had 6 spears, but I guess he left the rest floating at home. Zaldin is the second half of the first phase of Viper, given an entire health bar, and with some of the combo attacks rearranged, but you should have gotten so used to Viper's first phase after the dozen or so times you basically flawlessed him to figure out how the hell his second phase worked, that Zaldin here won't be much of a departure. Number 24, the 99th Owl. That, sir, is a ram, or a goat. I got 99 problems, but an owl ain't one. Not that this Satan monster's any better. Bring your chaos elixirs and cleanses, because all his attacks do build up, and the main theme of this fight is that every attack also has like a follow-up hit you also have to account for. He'll slam the ground, and then right after there'll be another smaller explosion, like a cluster grenade of attacks, so it's always like a 1-2 block with everything he does. He also starts the fight in Frenzy mode, which is 100% hyper armor at all times, so he can't be staggered or interrupted by anything until his stamina is exhausted. Human enemies expend and regain stamina like you do, but chaos creatures or beasts or corrupted MFers have this flat bar that only goes down when you hit them and never goes back up until it's depleted. I generally abhor hyper armor, but with the animation canceling you can do to quickly perfect block in the middle of your strings, not being able to interrupt them isn't that big a deal. Number 23, Corrupted Creation and Mutated Rosha. With 2 of these amalgamation things coming at you back to back, you're about to get a crash course on how to deal with it. For now, your mission is to figure out how to perfect block as many hits of his super extendo combo as you can. This dude uses all its parts to create this long line of swipes and bites to overwhelm your stamina, but if you get the quick timing of the perfect blocks down, it's a great way to lower his stamina instead. It's 8 quick hits, followed by a delayed 9th, and it's actually pretty fun to deal with once you get good at it, kind of like the thorned spiders you can kill exclusively with brutal attacks. The boss will also be constantly spitting webs all over the floor, and if you stand in them, your stamina recovers slower, and you run the risk of getting fully enwebbed, which makes you a sitting duck for 1 hit. When the corrupted creation is close to death, Mutated Rosha drops down out of nowhere and makes things annoying. They have different names, despite being the exact same thing, so finish off the creation so you can just do the boss over again with Rosha. Number 22, Reaper. I think this is a fun idea, taking a portion of the Balerian boss fight where she summons a way weaker version of this Reaper and just making it a full boss fight. Reaper is a summoner, and everything he summons is annoying. The wolves you can kill quick, but he'll also summon a squad of archers that shoot nonstop, or an invisible assassin that only reveals itself to do a spirit attack while you're busy attacking the Reaper. If you get far enough away from the archers, they stop shooting and eventually despawn, and I think that's easier than trying to kill them all when a Reaper's doing hella combos on your ass. Those aren't too hard to get the timing of, and I think I only died once to this. Number 21, Spectre of Pluvius. The sigh of relief I breathed when I saw that this dude does not regain his stamina when he hits you. Oh man, because most of the regular ones do. Even if you perfect block, it gives him stamina. But not this one, thankfully. I had to elevate my mind to a higher plane of existence to become one with the combos this guy stealthily throws out. He creates these spectral after images that attack in tandem with him, and once you figure it out, it becomes so much easier. Number 20, Hismar. You know the rule, big boss, easy boss, at least compared to most of the other main mission bosses. I attempted this fight the first time at the end of one of my streams. I got off after a couple of tries, and then the update patch notes flash on the screen like list of buff bosses, and fucking Hismar's on there. So now I know when I get back on tomorrow he's gonna be even harder. What am I gonna do? But I got back on and it only took like 3 more tries. For a giant dragon, he doesn't have a lot of HP, which is a good thing because the fight takes forever anyway. You want to hit his head for the most stamina damage, but the only move with the spear that can hit his head at rest is the sprinting triangle, so otherwise you have to wait until the end of one of his combos where he slams his head down and get a few hits in before preparing for his violent re-emergence from the ground. He takes a lot more HP damage when he's staggered and ready for a brutal attack, so having stamina on hand during those moments is crucial. You can also throw javelins at his head when it's out of reach if he's not attacking you currently, and they do a good chunk of damage if you charge him up and have some skill points invested in him. The second half of the fight goes a little nuts, with chaos breath all over the place as Hismar soars through the sky, but elixirs and cleanses will help with that, and Hismar's attacks are pretty telegraphed. Number 19, Tanya. Malenia's vampiric niece? Tanya has lifesteal, the only enemy that does. If you're losing HP, she's gaining it. Plus this one is frenzied, so her ability to suck you off is going mostly unimpeded. This one just requires that you learn all of her moves and make few enough mistakes that she doesn't heal back all the damage you do to her, because one hit from her is like one combo from you. If you get her down low, don't get complacent, finish her off, use your strongest spirit moves, maybe lay off Phantom Form because she still gets HP if she hits you in that, and I don't know about you, but as soon as I activate Phantom Form, my brain turns half the lights off. I'm not dodging, I'm not guarding, I'm mashing. Let me mash for that extra 10% of the health bar, but alas, Tanya feeds off your Phantom, and he is delicious. Number 18, Shaktuka. Another boss I had fun fighting, so of course they buffed him. Big beast bosses are so much more enjoyable to fight than regular human ones, mostly because they seem to have a lot less bullshit at their disposal. Bigger attacks mean bigger telegraphs, more of a visual aid to help you get perfect block timings, and I love how expressive Shaktuka in particular is with his physicality. This dude leaps up and tries to dunk on you like LeBron. He does these no-armed dolphin jumps face first into you. He does not give a fuck. Number 17, Yared the Completed. Boss so nice they had to do it twice. I don't know what's complete about this guy, he still somehow met the business end of a pirate ship steering wheel. Yared is a little more plague-heavy than Shaktuka, it seems, but otherwise is very similar. I don't mind them reusing bosses like this when they're fun, especially because you're already dialed in on the attacks, even if they change them up a bit, so you're not going to be banging your head against the wall wondering how to deal with something that looks insane at first glance. Number 16, Albino. Sunburned Albino is here, and he wants to pound you and nail you until you're somehow on fire. Albino can create sparks and ignite his nails, so it'll cause fire buildup if you block the attacks that use it, which is something you will feel pretty quickly if you don't use a fire-resist elixir. The rhythms are pretty easy to nail down, haha, and this boss really hammers home the importance of consumables, ha 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 ha. Being on fire is annoying, and it takes way too many dodges to put out, which will eat your stamina and make you vulnerable. About halfway through the fight, Albino will hammer his nail into the ground and make a big show of going to town on it until it causes a floor-length explosion that permanently coats the entire floor in burning embers. This very long sequence is your cue to rush over to the ladder and climb up to the second floor and wait for Albino to join you. He can actually do this attack up there a second time, and the first time he did it, I thought he was going to coat the whole floor again, so I jumped back down to the first floor and burned alive. I was pissed off, like, what the fuck do I do? He's arsoning the whole play space. But it turns out that the second time he does it, it only covers a certain area around him, and you can just back up while staying on the second floor. Fun boss, though. Probably got buffed. Number 15, Spectre of Bangao. Sunburned Albino is back from the dead, just like my channel after making this video. Right, guys? Like, share, and subscribe. Let's hit 1 million views like Nioh. Ghost Albino blinks in and out of existence, much like my channel, doing the same combos he did when he was alive, but with some spectral twists that add delays to some of the moves. Otherwise, it's the same thing. If you liked him 10 years ago, you'll still like him now, even though he's getting fat. Number 14, the Nether Squad. This mini-boss rush features 3 bosses, 2 of which are easy pickings. The first is Jocko, a huge yeti who mostly spends his time on podcasts talking about leadership. Then we have Tigran, who despite being a tiger is actually a bear and has all the bear's moves. Those both have little HP and go down quick. If you remember their movesets, you'll probably flawless them. The third boss is a ghostly Aratra, with the added caveat that his legs can no longer be broken off, and like the Spectre of Bangao, he adds teleportation to his combos to change them up. I beat him first try still, but it was a strained victory. He gets into these evasive rhythms with jumping and blinking that you can't even land a single hit on him for a bit, which can make you make desperate mistakes if he only needs one more hit to have his stamina broken. He also still causes venom buildup, which is deadly, so have resistances on hand. Number 13, Princess Elena. I had a little bit of fun with this boss, so she probably got like a little bit of a buff. Elena is a rapier wielder who thrusts repeatedly at you, which makes for some easy block timings. In fact, the first third of the fight is among the easiest of any of them. Once she starts channeling chaos power, though, she becomes a hybrid sword user and magic wielder, relying on chaos buildup to be threatening like so many late-game bosses do. Some of her spells are transcendent, so you can't block them and have to dodge or sprint around instead. Sprinting is very underrated in games like this. It lets you have more control over your positioning and weave in and out of attack range and try to punish stuff. With her spells, you want to try and end up close to her by the time she's done shooting shit so you can get hits in, and then her melee combos stay relatively consistent with the added effects of chaos. Khazan has his pick of the litter when it comes to evil waifus. Even great generals deserve a big titty goth girlfriend once in a while. Number 12, Elamane. Good waifu turned evil waifu after she was sucked into a chaos black hole and strapped to a chaos machine and pumped full of chaos magic just to be one of the few bosses that don't do chaos buildup. NPCs in this game think they're so fucking helpful, standing at the beginning of missions being like, let's fight through here together, and then you don't catch a whiff of them again until after you beat the boss. Fake support. Run through the level with me, you bastard. I beat Aratra in the spider cave, and Elamane's like, yeah, we did it. You didn't do shit, side piece. Even your saving of my life is contrived, as if a dying spider I just beat was going to kill me when I go on to fight a giant berserk dragon by myself. So I was already annoyed by this character. And then come to find out she's one of the most annoying bosses in the entire game. That goddamn shield always just randomly decides when it wants to completely block all your attacks. Whether it's mid-combo, whether it's during an opening that you should absolutely have after you perfect block all her shit, and whether it's when she has one hit of stamina left and it just decides to say, actually, get off me! In Smash Bros terms, all her attacks are out of shield and we have no grabs. Sounds like hell, 'cause it is. The more you attack her shield, something that can't be avoided because of reasons previously stated, the more it will glow and charge up and give her access to more powerful attacks, but perfect blocking moves where she uses her shield specifically to attack results in some breakage and stagger and stamina loss. The strategy is obvious, but as an MFer with a shield, she decides when you actually get to do damage, and when she wants to interrupt the damage you deserve to get based on your performance. I beat her and said out loud, I never want to do that shit again. But the game has a wicked sense of humor. Number 11, Rankus. Dude has this crossbow mace hammer hybrid thing. It's weird but effective. His combos are comically delayed to the point of stupidity. Like, imagine watching someone in real life fight like this where they just hold their swings for that long, like they're falling asleep mid-combo and need to lay off the heroin. A while in, his hammer, which is also a crossbow, reveals that it's also a flamethrower. Like, goddamn dude, there is a such thing as too much utility. He also has a grappling hook, but that's a separate thing, not built into his Swiss Army flamethrower. He's got one ultimate attack he does that is a bitch to figure out how to avoid, and I didn't do it correctly in this footage, but I had one attempt where while he's spinning around launching flames everywhere, I stayed behind him and followed his pathing, and that mostly kept me out of harm's way. Then he jumps up and does a big fire slam that you can dodge with proper timing, not that I ever do. This is only the 5th main boss of the game, I think, so we're still ironing out kinks in our gameplay. Number 10, Brinkus. Same fight, except the flamethrower comes out sooner, and Brinkus has more shockwave-oriented attacks you can either sprint away from or dig deep in the trenches and time those blocks perfectly. His spinning fire attack is also replaced by a sprinting rapid-fire one that killed me just as often, so I hate this man as equally as his brother, and I'm more than excited to kill off the whole bloodline. Let me get that weapon off you, though? I hope Khazan gets weapon DLC for more weapon types, but that have similar scaling as existing ones, so you're more likely to swap between stuff to suit the situation. It's hard to imagine splitting the skill points even further than you already do, though. Like, I mained the spear the whole game, and only had 2/3 of the spear skills filled out, since you also have the general ones to do, like boosting javelin power or spirit gain. One thing that's great about Khazan, though, is that even if you're dying to the same boss over and over, you're still progressing, because you're gaining more and more lacrima without losing it, and you're getting skill points and raising your accompanied phantom's level, so even though the game is hard, it's not punishing. Number 9, Balerion. Back to the evil waifus, Balerion does a lot of different elemental buildups, but she swaps between them so frequently that no single one ever really gets the chance to fill up. She likes to put this protective bubble around her that prevents her from getting staggered until you break it or her stamina runs out, and as with Alina, you want to try to end up next to her by the time her spell attacks are over with. Some of them can be lazily dodged by walking back and forth, which is also a great way to recover stamina, and then she'll eventually summon the Reaper from the Reaper boss fight as a mini-boss break from the proceedings. She just sits there and watches the whole time, but after you kill the Reaper, you can take revenge on her with a well-placed javelin to the head. Don't underestimate the utility of a javelin to the head. This game actually has an entire build with a phantom and armor set that revolves around landing those every now and then during boss fights, and I kind of want to try it the next time I play. Number 8, Reese. You can make a gacha game with all these evil waifus, which would be pretty evil in and of itself. Reese's first phase is very nonchalant. She half-assedly casts spells and kind of lets herself be comboed to death. But her second phase, the mask comes off and the wings come out, and she gets a lot more physical. This boss also has the honor of being the only fight where I noticed how good the music was. There's just something about female anime singers ballading ahead of a stringy orchestral backdrop that puts you in the mood to touch yourself and cry. Khazan will be doing a lot of the latter after killing his close friend. Yeah, okay. I think Ozma started this whole scheme because Reese and Khazan were getting it on behind the scenes. Number 7, Viper. This boss is getting a reputation of being the first insurmountable wall for new players to run into, because it's a big 2-phase boss and is only the 3rd main one. It's mostly the 2nd phase that's the issue. After 3 or 4 attempts, I was near flawlessing the 1st phase, but then I was begging to last long enough in the 2nd to understand how anything worked. It's still early in the game, you don't have phantom form, you don't have many skills, you certainly don't have enough heals, and it's a war of trying to last long enough to learn something new for next time. From a purely time-based perspective, this boss took me the longest to beat at 45 minutes or so, probably because it takes a long time to get through phase 1 each time just to die to phase 2 in 15 seconds. It's still a matter of learning combos, and beyond anything, it's a matter of flawless execution, of not running out of healing items and just waiting to be slain. However, since the patch, Viper is one of 2 bosses that actually got nerfed, but when I fought him again during my If I Die I Drink stream using the Greatsword, I didn't really notice a difference that went beyond me just knowing the boss's attacks already. Number 6, Traka. Definitely my favorite boss in the game, and not just because it's an evil waifu. Traka punishes perfect blocking hard if you don't have the Chaos-ridden 2-piece to compensate, because all her spells do damage even if you perfect block. But that damage won't cancel the health regen effect. With the health regen, it can still be worth it to perfect block a couple things and dodge the rest, but dodging is the main way to avoid chip damage and frost buildup here. As with all spellcasters, try to be close to her when the spell ends to punish and get some water resistance out there for her specifically because she's a jellyfish lady who loves agua. Her ultimate attack is one of the flashiest in the game. Reminds me of something out of Kingdom Hearts. You've got big pink blasts you can block or dodge, followed by an onslaught you have to sprint to the side to avoid, and then another big pink blast, after which there's a slight reprieve you should use to reposition yourself so you have room to run to the side again, because she's going to do it again, and then there's this big thing where 20 of them come at the same time you gotta dodge through, and you follow that up with a spirit counter on the next attack. She'll do this multiple times, and it's one of my favorite attacks in the game, but she also does this other fake shit with these thunderclouds where she starts laughing and it looks like it's going to be this big thing, but it's just a waste of time. You can literally ignore and attack her. It leaves these puddles on the ground that do almost no damage if you step on them, so you don't even have to acknowledge their presence. It feels like the reason she's laughing is because she knows it's harmless and she's basically just pulling a prank. Number 5, Guido, whatever. Guido is the side mission version of Malika, who starts the fight with the much deadlier small swords as opposed to the great swords, though he still swaps between them every now and then. Perfect block timing is a must. Missing them will either destroy your stamina or get you murdered real fast. Whenever he's in his small sword stance and he sheaths his sword before attacking, perfect blocking the next hit usually staggers him and does good stamina damage. If you've unlocked the parry skill, you can also parry some of his attacks for instant stagger and probably enough stamina reduction to even get it to 0 for a brutal attack depending on the weapon you're using. Parrying is kind of finicky. The timing can be hit or miss. You'll think you know what it is on a certain attack and then you do it the exact same way and it won't work, but it does help. Like Malika, Guido can also heal pretty much whenever he feels like it, so you can have him right on the brink and he'll just start yelling and get 15% health back like an absolute asshole. Number 4, Malika. Malika is the other boss alongside Viper that got nerfed, but I did not have the pleasure of experiencing that. Instead, I got to get destroyed over and over and over again, since at least with Guido, I knew most of the moves from the outset. Malika also seems more chaos-oriented, as he's the first boss in the game to use it, and he will probably rock your shit more than a few times. You'll just have to learn one combo at a time, internalize it, and don't forget it when it comes out again. I have an easier time playing when I play more reactive instead of preemptive, like instead of just mashing L1 when a boss looks like it's going to attack, you should wait for the actual swing and see if the timing works out better. Some attacks look instantaneous and don't really have telegraphs, but most have an implied rhythm associated with them that will reward you for paying attention instead of flailing too early before you even get hit. Obviously easier said than done. Number 3 is Scalpel. This is one of the more creative bosses. Dude's swinging a coffin around, and in the first minute or so you're like, ooh, wonder what's in that. And then eventually he will show you by shoving you in there. Scalpel has grabs and grabs and more grabs. Chain attack grabs, every kind of grab, with the sole purpose of stuffing you into his suitcase so he can take you to Plague Town. He swaps between his default phase, which is no problem, and his Plague activation phase, which is a few problems, as mentioned. Plague resist is a must, of course, and honestly, I would not have beaten this boss when I did if I did not have the Chaos 2-piece on. It would have taken a decent chunk longer, I'm sure, because Scalpel is not just Scalpel at face value. You will literally kill this man dead, and his body will crumple next to his coffin, which will then proceed to grab him and stuff him in there itself. This footage makes it faster than it initially is, because I've seen it before, so they do a shortened version of the transition, but the first time you kill the boss, they really draw this shit out. He lays there for like 10 seconds and nothing happens. All I know is the trophy didn't pop and I'm on edge. Then you just see his body get dragged into the coffin and you're like, here we fucking go, dude. Fun's fucking over. So we enter his second phase, which is just his Plague activation phase on steroids. And it's like the Viper second phase where you're just, oh my god, let me survive long enough to learn something here. His HP is lower, but his stamina is locked, so you do no damage to it, which means no brutal attacks and the spear sucks now. So like Viper, it's a war of attrition and not running out of healing items. Number 2, Remnant of Elamine. Not this bitch again, anything but this again. Oh, and you made her a lot more aggressive with harder combos, and her shield still blocks everything whenever it wants, and when it fully lights up, she does this Omega Lightning Strike bullshit that's really hard to dodge and kill me 8 times. Oh, and yeah, she does Electrocution build-up now, and you can only hit her with your strongest skills half the time because she blocks them whenever, and everything else that was annoying about the first element fight is still here. How about no thanks? Number 1, Ozma. The hardest boss in the first Berserker Khazan is Ozma. He is like every spellcaster rolled into one. He does so much random shit, it's exhausting, taking multiple tries to get acclimated to even half of it. And that's just the first phase. He has a few explosion attacks. One thing I've noticed with some big heavy single attacks in this game is that if the opponent doesn't follow them up with anything, then just hold guard and let it break your block. If you're not 100% confident in the timing, just eat the stamina damage. She'll sit there and not take advantage of it, so it resets the situation. The second phase is a completely different boss. No knowledge from phase 1 helps here in any way. He goes demon mode and does all sorts of chaos shenanigans, and you just have to patiently wait for your turn to not get pulverized. Oh, did I mention this boss has a third phase? Oh yeah, real nice surprise that was. It's more cinematic than phase 2, just requiring you to land 3 brutal attacks to kill him, basically, but that's still a big ask for someone who just had their triumph erased and is healing exclusively with those items that cost spirit to use. I was lucky and killed his third phase the same try that I first beat his second. I would have crashed the hell out if I didn't. I would have had to go into hiding after the things I would have said to this game if it robbed me like that by having a third phase. The internet says you only get this third phase if you're doing the true ending, but I missed one of the collection items you need for that and did not get to pick the hidden dialogue option when that one lady asks what you're gonna do when you see Ozma, and it still gave me this third phase. So I did all the work for no trophy. Oh well, games like this only get better the better you get at them, so subsequent playthroughs will be even more fun. And that's going to do it for this boss ranking. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe. Watch all my other boss rankings spanning over 10 years of history, or you'll be cursed with permanent chaos buildup, and I'll see you guys next time.